please welcome Dr. Hadjy-Zadeh.
Dear colleagues and friends, thank you for coming. And I'm thankful to Mr. Libaridian and to the program, which find the possibility to invite me here. I was very interested to see you all, to deliver some ideas. My problem, as I told to Mr. Libaridian, is that I don't know the audience. What audience know about Azerbaijan in general? Do you know that there exists such country? Do you have some general information, and I should specify on, and I should stop on some very specific issues? For that, I will bring some general information, and then your questions will be very welcomed. I'll try to answer your questions like that. We will try. Thank you. In the general, I can say that the internet libraries that I have provide for many interesting materials on Azerbaijan, also in English language. So please, you have to go to this site. That is not in Azerbaijani, that is khe, Kitabkhana, that means library. You go there, then I explain this because the site is in Azerbaijani language for that. Then in the left you will see some menu. Again, no, please. No, Then again, you will see Kitabkhana. You enter here and you will find full list of books. That's for students of social and political sciences. It starts with Azerbaijani text, then come English texts, then Russian, all in one page. You just go down and you will see. When you find some title that you want to read, just click on it. You will see first page. If you're satisfied, then in the top of the page you will see the sign of zip sign. Click to zip sign and all the text will come. So you can get full text of this. I try to collect their research of many foreign researchers who came to Baku, make some studies. I got the manuscripts, let's say, and impose there. So this is Azerbaijan, you see, in this map of Middle East. In general, I want to stress its strategic importance of this country. Because, you see, Azerbaijan is the only way from, not only from west to east, but also from north of Russia, let's say, to south. So if Russia wants to communicate with its, let's say, friend Iran, then it should go through Azerbaijan. Also, goods and some airplanes from the west also go through Azerbaijan. They don't go through Russia because Russia sometimes jealous of something. Iran is also hostile. So it's the only way and has very important geographic strategic position. For that, Azerbaijan is very valuable for West and for its strategic position. West always, not always, but many times close their eyes on violation of human rights and so on, so on. Now, let's say half of transportation to Afghanistan from Europe and America go through Azerbaijani airports. So our airports is important. Also, Azerbaijan has very good environment, sea, mountains, 9 climate zones, good agricultural possibility, and good mineral resources, which is oil, gold, metals, and so on, so on. So we have everything, but as it was stated before, such country always unhappy. So lack something in development and so on, so on. It's about Azerbaijan. Then about some general figures about our economy. We are post-Soviet country. Only now, let's say 20 years after the collapse of USSR, we can say that there is some restoration and some stabilization in economic, social life, and so on, so on. So average monthly income is $430. Taxes not included here. Russia is 700. Ukraine 300, Armenia also 300, Georgia 300. We have 100 more, mainly because of oil. So our GDP is $51 billion. Per capita, it is $5,000. This according to World Bank. Oil is 40% of budget revenues. This is huge. Let's say Norway, which have more oil than Azerbaijan, and their income to budget from oil is like 4 or 5%. Also, oil is 90% of country's export. That is sad picture with our economic. As about the future of Azerbaijani oil, I can say that this year was important, and it was declared that oil production start to decline. It declines almost for 21%, the export of oil products in this year. So this decline will be continuing and will stop some near 30 million tons per year. This is also a huge figure for such a small country as Azerbaijan. Briefly about history. Azerbaijan is ancient land, and in the very beginning there was such ancient states and civilizations like Manna, Media, Persia, Seljuk Empire, some Safavid Qajar dynasty in whole Iran. Then Russia Empire come and separate Azerbaijan for 2 parts. North Azerbaijan now is Azerbaijani Republic, and South Azerbaijan now is in Iran, and there live some 30 millions of Azerbaijanis, or Azerbaijani Turks, I don't know how to say it better, in Iran. They sometimes raise questions on their rights, especially cultural rights. There is some nationalists who ask for autonomy or maybe independence. But still now the situation in Iran, you know what's going on there. Situation is very stressed. Population of Azerbaijan is 9 million now, then 3 times less than in Iran. Also culturally, this is very mixed and rich culturally country. Everybody believes that Zoroastrianism started in Azerbaijan. Then Christianity came. Then Islam. Then very strange religion, communism. Now liberalism. Trying to spread there. religion issue became more and more important now because of overall religion revival in the world. Firstly, then some rising of Muslim activities everywhere, and then because of our anti-democratic situation, because it's known that if other rights, civil liberties suppress it, religions start to grow. And that was exactly what happened in Azerbaijan. We have, Azerbaijan is mainly Shia country. 65% of population Shia and 35 Sunni. But thanks to communist forced atheism, there are no big antagonism between them. And sometimes they can go even in one mosque without some, conflicts. This is situation with traditional Islam. But when the Iron Curtain was broken, missionaries start to come to Azerbaijan from all over the world, Muslim also and Christian. Muslim missionaries came from three directions. From Iran, trying to spread ideas of Iranian revolution. From Gulf countries, trying to spread Wahhabism. Salafism, you understand what I want to say. Then from Turkey, mainly that was Nurçular, Nursist sect. This is very interesting sect. I will speak later about this. So also Christian missionaries came, evangelists, Baptists, even Jehovah's Witnesses. They are not that popular, but still they try to spread their faith there. So about these missionaries again. Very soon they start to create stress in society. Iranian missionaries advocate and propagate Iranian revolution with all consequences, take some very young people, brought them to Iranian religious school in Iran, create some agents, let's say. And under their influence, there are some Islamic groups, Islamic political groups appeared. Islamic Party of Azerbaijan. It is not very popular party, but it exists, and they fight, and they completely pro-Iranian. They, let's say, just listen to radio what Khamenei declared, next day they declare the same. If today is a day of Palestinian people, then they declare something against Israel, and so on, like that. Other dangerous missionaries was Salafis or Wahhabis from Gulf. Those guys don't want to communicate with anybody. They don't want to go public, don't want to give interview. And their idea is that we know what is Islam, what is pure Islam. Others can be killed and, persecuted. They work mainly underground. They don't need to create a party. But 5, 7 people come together in some places, not even connected with each other, and decided to blast something in name of Allah. Unfortunately, we have such groups. We have now 240 arrested religious activists. Yes, some of them real extremists. Some of them fight in Afghanistan. Some of them fight in Chechnya. One even appeared in Guantanamo. He was in Pakistan, fight against American soldiers, and was captured there, brought to Guantanamo. Now he released. He is in Baku. So I want to show that this missionary activities is real danger for society. Islamic Party, not popular, according to opinion polls that we provide. There are no popular Muslim leader among them, like something like Azerbaijani Khomeini, let's say, even underground. No, unfortunately. But to blast something, they have ability. Through these 240 religious activists, many of them was arrested for nothing. As we are not democratic country, we lack transparency and we don't know what's going on in courts. We don't know exactly who was arrested for what. But again, I want to say that there is some extremists and radicals. If somebody has some special questions then on religion, in the end I will speak about this in details. The very sad thing happened in our country with religion is when some of Azerbaijani journalists trying to criticize Islamic practice now. And they issued some articles, maybe cartoons. It was the same like in Europe, somebody published some cartoons on Islamic topic and so on, so on. They were threatened, intimidated, and one of these journalists was killed. It was a very big shock for Azerbaijan. When this journalist, I don't want to say he was good journalist, no, but he had right to express himself in this way. He writes some letter about article about Prophet Muhammad. I don't know Prophet. This is about Jesus. Compare themselves, and so on, so on. For that, it was big scandal in Azerbaijan and Iran. And some Iranian mullahs, some Iranian ayatollahs, very influential in Azerbaijan, they give a fatwa, order. These guys should be killed. So after some, the government, in fear of his killing, brought him to prison. Give him 1 year or 2 years, for, I didn't understand for what. Then he was released in 6 months. And the last month, he was killed. When he was killed, these ayatollahs from Iran sent a letter of congratulations to Azerbaijani people. Oh, sorry. We congratulate you, and so on, so on. You did very good thing. This was very good shock for Azerbaijani society that wake up many circles in Azerbaijan that what's going on. We didn't expect such development, and so on, so on. And governments start to arrest will increase it, and so on, so on. The difference of Azerbaijani society in this sphere from another Muslim countries is in that Azerbaijan we have religious movement, but we have anti-religious movement also. That is very interesting. Maybe this was because of influence of Russian Empire, maybe because of Stalin's, let's say, politics. But starting with 19th century, influential Azerbaijani intellectuals delivered speeches, articles, books against obscurantism, against these mullahs, and so on, so on. It was started in the middle of 19th century by our philosopher Mirza Fatali Akhundzadeh. Then others follow him. Until now, we have very strong anti-clerical, anti-obscurant movement. These anti-obscurantists are either in democratic camp or they can be in near Haidar Aliyev. They are everywhere, let's say. Now they start to speak as I follow this killing was when I was in America, unfortunately. To show how they're strong, I want to say to you that in the beginning of 20th century, not in the beginning, but in the 30s of 20th century, Stalin started cultural revolution former Soviet Union and in Muslim countries also. I don't know what's going on, what's going on in Uzbekistan or Turkmenistan, but in our country it was forcible anti-Islamization. Mullahs was arrested, and women were forcibly, how to say, liberated from hijab. And yes, it was not democratic, but now everybody, praise Stalin, thanks to him, because in peaceful way you cannot get this result. So maybe that was order from Communist Party, but one of Azerbaijani dramaturg, Jafar Jabbarli, write very interesting play called Sevil. Sevil, that is the name of some woman who suffered this obscurant attitude to woman. Her husband was like some strong obscurantist. She divorced, take out this veil, and go public, and like that. So this image was so popular in Azerbaijan, in Muslim countries, that later, in the very heart of Azerbaijan, there was created a monument for Sevil. Woman threw out its veil near Metro Nizami. Maybe who was in Baku, I don't know. Then next year, some composer, very famous composer, Fikret Amirov, write opera, Sevil, again. And the president of Azerbaijan, former KGB general, Haydar Aliyev, also named his daughter Sevil, and that is not accident, because it is symbol. I want to say that how much it spread this anti-obscurant ideas in Azerbaijan. That's it. Struggle is continuing. Government just arrest them. Intelligentsia write, I don't know, articles, issue some letters, and so on and so on. That is it on religion. Briefly about demography. As I told before, population 9 million, annual growth is 101%. Some 2 million citizens of Azerbaijan left country in search for job, mainly to Russia. And 30 million Azerbaijani Turks live in Iran. Ethnic composition. If we go through official statistics, we see that 91% of population name themselves Azerbaijanis. Others, we have Russians, Armenians, Lezgins, Talish, Kurds, Jews, and some others. But the question is, scientific question is, who are Azerbaijanis? This is not ethnonym. This is polytonym that was created by Stalin with the aim of take away Azerbaijani people from pan-Turkism, let's say, or pan-Islamism. The Azerbaijanis declare some assimilated Persians that were assimilated and became Turks, like that. That was official idea. Then another part of Stalin's politics was like that. Small ethnic groups should be assimilated in Azerbaijani people. And then Azerbaijani people should be assimilated in Soviet people, Sovietsky Narod, if you understand. Then Soviet Union collapsed, and all this plan was collapsed, and it was collapsed before. But the problem now is that population call themselves Azerbaijanis. Many of national minorities became Azerbaijanis. And now if you will try to remove this title, they feel themselves not proper, not confident, because from national majority you became again national minority and so on. so on. Now there is some, yes, tension with this problem. Who we are? Are we Azerbaijanis, or we Turks, or we... As there are all discussions suppressed in Azerbaijan, or huge public discussions, now this problem are stopped. And many happy with this. Don't touch this. Don't touch this problem. Just we are Azerbaijanis and that's it. About international ranking of Azerbaijan. Who we are according to international organizations. According to ranking of Freedom House, we are not free country, unfortunately. We have 70 political prisoners, 16 prisoners of conscience, according to Amnesty International. And we have, as I told, 240 arrested religious activists. Our economy, according to Heritage Foundation, Economic Freedom in the World report, mostly unfree economy, unfortunately. Corruption, according to Perception Index of Transparency International, we are together with most corrupt countries in the world, and we take 134th place, together with Ukraine. Human Development Index of United Nations, Azerbaijan is in 91st place, Georgia on 75, Armenia 86, Turkey 92. That's it. Brief about independence. Yes, these figures are bad, as you see. But still, independence brings many good things also to Azerbaijan, especially in spiritual sphere. Many of Azerbaijani citizens have now possibility to live according to their conscience. That was not before in Soviet Union. Few persons like, I don't know, Sakharov, Solzhenitsyn, some composers can live according to their conscience. Other should be mimicrated or went underground. Now situation is different. Borders are open. If you don't want to live in Azerbaijan, you can leave. Go live on there, forth and back. Some possibility for free business. You can sell, I don't know, donkey donuts, and that's enough to be yourself. Yes, big business controlled by government, totally. And in each big shop, you can find the portrait of president or his family. That's to show what is the level of economic freedom here. But still, such factors like communication, liberation technologies, internet, satellite television, and many other things make our people happier during this independence. I have a time then I want to speak a little bit about Soviet period in Azerbaijan. It was period of repression and schizophrenic kind of management. Everybody knows this, especially in Russian studies department and Armenian studies. But as I told before, let's say this Stalin politics again, obscurantism. It was of course positive. Let's say about Stalin's politics on education. In some 10, 50 years, Azerbaijani population became completely literate, completely educated. Also, healthcare was for everybody. It was not good healthcare, but spread to all the territory. Also in Soviet period, some, let's say, Stalin kind of Azerbaijanism appeared. Stalin kind of. So he creates some canon that this, and these poets from
ancient period. They are Azerbaijanis. You have to read them and speak by heart. This is our music. We have conservatorium. And the professors of conservatory go to people and write all our rich folklore to some test books. And we do not, let's say, lose any of pieces of this treasure, let's say. And such kind of, let's say, enforced culturalization or enforced civilization, that can be brought to the positive part of Soviet influence. But in the end, this schizophrenic way of management brought to the collapse of Soviet Union. But now still Azerbaijan, I can say, partly this is creation of Soviet culture and Soviet civilization, let's say, like this. Movement for independence. Soviet regime was collapsed, and this time in Azerbaijan started movement for come back to its own identity and for independence, kind of. And this movement was headed by Popular Front of Azerbaijan. That was very huge movement, and everybody take part there. Even some communist guys was with us. I was then one of the leader. I was member of a board of Popular Front, and I see all this from very inside. Also, war with Armenia started for Karabakh. That was also part of Popular Front, how say, activities, because we had no army then, and our communist leaders afraid to do anything, then have some order from Moscow. Moscow silence it. So Popular Front fight for Karabakh, let's say, then fight for independence, fight for return of our identity. Too many tasks. In 91, 92, 93, Popular Front came to power, and the leader of Popular Front, Abulfazl Chibey, became president. In general, I can say that, yes, we were very inexperienced. It is understandable. But this government was honest, and they put honest goals: equality, civil rights, justice, fight with corruption. All political active bodies were registered. All parties, including Islamic party, was registered there. All newspapers went from underground to goes public. The other idea was to withdraw Russian troops from Azerbaijan, and we succeed with that. We were the first republic who withdrew Russian troops for Azerbaijan, and Russia was not happy with this, of course. Then Russia inspired coup d'etat in Azerbaijan. Coup d'etat succeed. Popular Front went to opposition or to jail somebody, to jails. And in the end of all this drama, Haydar Aliyev, KGB general, came to power and quickly restored old Soviet schizophrenic system of management. This was not Soviet, let's say, but Soviet plus KGB system of management. Everybody was blackmailed. So on those guys who by Haydar Aliyev won't be ruled or work with him, he has some file, know everything about him, and with this file, with this blackmailing, he forced people to obey. In general, I can say public accept this new social agreement, new social covenant. You give me your freedom, I will provide for tranquility and stability and so on. So with this social agreement, we live till now. Hyder Aliyev create very sophisticated regime of authoritarianism. It differs from Stalin's, let's say, or Saddam Hussein's authoritarianism. You can speak on your kitchen whatever you want. I don't care. Or if you have newspaper, let's say with circulation 3,000, you can write whatever you want. But if you have newspaper, let's say 30,000, then I can kill you, as he did many times. If you bring some danger, if you are danger physically or ideologically, you have your circulation is big, then I will deal with you. Others can be free. That was a very comfortable system of management. So when, let's say, researchers like you or some officials from State Department came to Baku and say, you know, you violate rights of your citizens, say, how I violate? See how many newspapers I have. 100 newspapers with circulation of, I don't know, 500, 700, like that. See Hikmet Hadjy-Zadeh is speaking in his kitchen. It was very... But to manage this system, persons should be very skillful. And he can do that, to distinguish those who are dangerous, whom should we kill, and who are not. Then he managed to transfer his power to his son, another success of his authoritarianism. But his son was not that skilled. For that, he afraid of everything, of any circulation of newspaper, and tried to press everything in Azerbaijan. For that is very, how to say, people could not understand in the West why this guy who speak English language and had some Versace suits became more, let's say, cruel than his father, because he couldn't manage his system. That was what going on in Azerbaijan. Again, under Ilham Aliyev, we are not free country, very corrupt country. Now Ilham Aliyev got oil money, which even his father didn't have. And he tried to spend his money in very tycoon way, I can say. Create good vitrines, I don't know, provide for some international meetings, contests, and so on, so on. We will see what will happen in the end. I can say that Arab Spring has influence on all Azerbaijani society and also scared him and his government. When event in Tunisia and Egypt started, they was very scared and tried to declare by television that now from tomorrow we are starting campaign against corruption. We have to start from ourselves. That's quotation. Quotation. We have to start from ourselves. Tra-ta-ta, tra-ta-ta. In Baku, in the suburbs of Baku, he posted, he said, Mubarak's monument. Hosni Mubarak's monument was in Baku. Then everybody started, we have to remove him. For 2 weeks, there were some guards that he was across this monument, and they looked to television, what happened in Iran. When that was end with him, monument was removed from there. That's what's going on with us. That's, then a little bit about Karabakh War. I know this is... we are about parties. Yes, 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 yes. I understand. I understand. Yes, we have parties, but suppressed. And the situation now, exactly who is Sovietolog here, exactly the same like in former Soviet Union. So we are back in USSR. Our parties became like dissident clubs. If someone, let's say, follow Russia, then you know that some liberal parties like Yabloko. In fact, Yabloko is not a party. It is small group of dissidents, very good guys, educated and morally pure, but they don't have, let's say, social groups behind them. Like Zhirinovsky, this nationalist guy, had. This Zhirinovsky, schizophrenic, you know, in each election got 20% of votes. And Yabloko got 1%. That's what happened with our opposition even in Azerbaijan. There is some puppet opposition, but there are some real guys, Musavat Party, Popular Front, I belong to Musavat Party, but they became like dissidents. And sometimes scholars like you couldn't recognize that, and they always ask from these Musavat activists and, let's say, leaders, why you don't doing that, why you don't doing that, why you don't unite, why you don't fight, but they don't have means now. They are like Sakharov, Solzhenitsyn, Václav Havel, like that. We have many newspapers in Azerbaijan, but only one of them is independent and honest. This is Azadlik newspaper of Popular Front. Even newspaper of Musavat Party are not free now. That's newspaper of my party. We have one independent and honest information agency, Turan Information Agency, very good guys. Then we have some youth organizations, very active, very skilled, many of them educated here in United States or in Europe. Mostly they act underground because you couldn't go to the streets, you couldn't create some meeting, you couldn't meet even indoors. Forbidden everything. Internet mostly free. Government tried to impose some restriction, but not that serious till now. So our public life emigrated to internet. They live there virtually. That's what's going on with rights. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Maybe then we will come back to this. Then about this Karabakh conflict, this is very wide and painful issue. I just have some 2 or 3 paragraphs to say that Karabakh conflict started in 1988 when the claims of Karabakh Armenians that their cultural and economic rights are violated and couldn't be guaranteed in Azerbaijani Soviet Republic. So they prefer to separate and join Armenia. This separation movement was completely unexpected to Azerbaijani society, which was quite sure that Armenians live in Azerbaijan much better than Azerbaijanis. Some experts assert that the real purpose of this separation movement was strong Armenian aspiration to revenge for the numerous defeat from their neighbors in history. Other experts assert that one of the main reasons of separation movement was demography. Armenians got fear that rapid growth of Azerbaijani population will make them minority in Karabakh district, and finally this demographic pressure will force them to leave this land. These 3, let's say, main reasons brought to this to starting of this movement. And very soon this small conflict became the full-scale war. Some 15,000 of Azerbaijani died. I believe some kind of the same figure of Armenian dies from Armenian side. So in the end, Armenia, let's say for now, won. in this war, occupied 7 Azerbaijani regions, and we have some 700 refugees. 700,000, sorry. Then geopolitically, Armenia is not alone. Russia backs Armenia for Russian strategic purpose, for justify their presence in our region. Russia can be in our region only for such conflicts, for such regional conflicts between Azerbaijan and Armenia, Georgia and Abkhazia, and so on, so on. About negotiations. Negotiations start, I can say, in parallel with the war, but till now bring to nothing. Armenians and Azerbaijanis do not believe to each other. This is first. Other is that Russia prevents this peace. I know that because I was involved in these negotiations and sometimes have very honest, let's say, conversations with Russian high officials that openly treat me, intimidate me, and Azerbaijan say, we will show you. You think that you are independent, we will show you. Then after war between Georgia and Russia, again, Russian ambassador to Baku provide for press conference and openly say, you see what happened with Georgia? Let it be lesson to you. That will happen with anybody who will act against Russian strategic plans, and so on, so on. For that, the question that Gerard yesterday, can the war started again? My answer, no. If, let's say, Azerbaijan, let's say, have to start this, if there will be some rational guys in the very top, then seeing what happened with Georgia, they do not start this. Yes, Azerbaijan buy many weapons, new kind of weapons, and so on, but this is not enough to fight with Armenian-Russian alliance. For that, I don't expect that Azerbaijan will start this war unless some kind of paranoia and schizophrenia came to the minds of our leaders. Then war may start it. But in normal situation, my suggestion, not. So this ceasefire was between Armenia and Azerbaijan, signed in '94. Since then, we have endless negotiations, but I want to say you that the killings are continuing. From '94 till now, during this ceasefire period, 2,000 Azerbaijani was killed in borders. I believe some kind of this amount Armenian was killed. It's a tragedy for that. That's all what I want to say. Thank you for coming and listening. If you have any question, I'm ready.
We will have some time for questions. Please wait for the microphone. Identify yourself if you can, and then ask the question. The microphone is not so that the rest of us hear, but it's being recorded. So if you don't use the microphone, the question will not be recorded. Please.
My name is Lori Sipes, and I've recently begun to read about the Central Asian countries and the Caucasus. As an American, until 1991, I had not heard of most of these countries until the breakup of the Soviet Union. My question is it your feeling that Russia may try to recreate the Russian Empire that became the Soviet Union? Or do you think they're happy with their borders where they are now?
Thank you.
No, I believe that Russia don't want to get back again Armenia, Azerbaijan, and so also directly. I mean, and create again some Soviet Union. No, but they want to be chief there, to keep their influence, and they openly speak about that. They say this is the territories of former Soviet Republic are the territories of our special interests. That is their official, let's say, doctrine. And they want to restore that. For that, they hate Georgia, because Georgia start to communicate with the United States and so on, maybe you know. For that, they hate Azerbaijan, even they hate this Ilham Aliyev, who is not openly conflicted with Moscow like Saakashvili, but still he tried to make some independent steps, let's say in oil production and transport and transportation and so on, so on. So Russian idea just to be policeman there. That's it.
Thank you. Next question.
My name is Arsen Saparov. I'm a postdoc here. I have a very specific question. Is it okay? I have a very specific question which relates to Ilham Aliyev and his construction of monuments to his father. My understanding, like, you know, he's building pretty much in every town in Azerbaijan. He has a monument to Heydar Aliyev, and
Yes.
most of the streets are
Yes.
named. And
Yes.
international presence of monuments is quite wide as well. So my question is, why Aliyev is constructing monuments to his father and not to himself, for example? Is it because he's not very
Good
sure
question.
of his position, or he kind of tries to legitimize his rules through, you know, commemorating his father? Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
this is good question. Of course, he tried to legitimize himself through his father, because it is in their camp, it is commonly accepted that Haydar Aliyev was George Washington, Churchill and Lenin together in one, you know, person. And he is just his son, and he is modest. If next presidential term he will do something great, I don't know what he have to do, then he will start to build monumentum for himself. That's
So my reading is correct.
yes, correct. This as a notion that they want to spread. This was Washington, Lenin, Alexander Macedonian, like that.
Turgut and then Kevo.
My name is Turgut Tuncel. I'm a predoctoral student here visiting. I'm from Turkey. You mentioned the Muslim missionaries working in Azerbaijan, and you identified three groups. Those related to Iran, those related to Gulf states, and you mentioned the Nurju missionaries related to Turkey. But you didn't elaborate on this group. I would like to hear what they are doing in Azerbaijan, some brief information. And also, I would like to ask you, how does the activity of the Nurju groups in Azerbaijan influence Azerbaijan-Turkey relations? Because this group, I mean, Nurju movement in Turkey is very much, has strong relations with the government and some circles in the bureaucracy and so on. So how does their activities in Azerbaijan influences the Turkish-Azeri relations? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Nursis religious sect, let's say, even if it's not a sect through European, let's say, classification, but a kind of movement. And they came just when independence started, and they was accepted very sympathetically or empathetically, let's say, because they provide for, as they declare it, Turkish Islamic synthesis. We are not just Muslims, we're also Turks, we are citizens of our country, we're patriotic. That was their first statement. And there was one interview of state religion committee leader, and journalists ask him, why you let Nursis act so freely here? He say, we do that for this purpose. Population need religion. Azerbaijan do not have its own resources. We do not have mullahs, I don't know, books, literature. We should bring them from abroad. We don't want Iran. We don't want these Wahhabis or Salafis. So these Nursis are better. That was his explanation. But the Nursis, I can say, this is unique sect or group. In my understanding, as I met them and speak with them, this is the only sect in Muslim world who can answer to the question of those who want to build Islamic State. Because if you're a strong believer, you want to live according to Sharia, you come across with, let's say, civil law, and you have to fight if you're a strong believer. So no one in Muslim world, no activist can resolve this problem, only them. If some religious radical came to, let's say, this Fethullah Gülen or some guy, and say, we have to blast this dirty world. We couldn't tolerate that. And Fethullah Gülen, don't argue with him. Just say, yes, yes, we have to blast, but not now. No. We have to educate new generation. Education, believe me. And then maybe we don't need to blast them. Government will fall in our arms. That is their official doctrine. Education. We have to educate new Muslims. And they will penetrate in all governments like, I don't know, Masons. Exactly. Such Masonic idea. Then, after 10 years, you will come again. Then blast what you want. You will see that we don't need that. And they built in Azerbaijan one university, very good one, with no corruption, good teachers. Then 5 or 6 lyceums with very good quality. Even my son, 1 year was in this Kafkas University. Kafkas University. That was because I afraid to bring my son to state university. I am not a religious person, but 1 year he was then he moved to Richmond University of Virginia. And I always ask him, what's going on there? I said, do you feel some pressure, some religious missionary pressures or something? He said, no, father. But what's going on there? There is some guys in leadership of university, some activists, they look at you. If they just come to conclusions that you may come to this Nursi sect, they try to work with you, but never press. Just offer something. Please read this book. Or look at this portrait of Nur, how is his name? Nursi or Fethullah Gülen. So if you are, let's say, tended, then they accept you, bring you to their brotherhood, and they created some network already. You are in this network. They educate you well. Education is very well. So after 10 years, they expect you will be prime minister like Erdogan. That's what do Nursis in Azerbaijan. And also in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan maybe. I don't know what's going on in Uzbekistan.
I think they have a lot of schools in the Central Asian.
Yes. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. And about these relations between Azerbaijan, Turkey, and this Nursis issue. Before it was like that. When it was some Anaveten partisi, motherland party, they hate these Nursists. And when Nursists open universities and lyceums in Azerbaijan, they never support them, never invite them to some Turkish, I don't know, parties and holidays and so on. Openly say this to me, we hate them, we don't want Fethullah Gülen and so on. But when Erdogan came, then Caucasus University became respectful. but not in that level that they, how to say, have some kind of effect to politics between country. No.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Okay, let's start with Krista, and then here, and then
Thank you. Was in Baku last year, and after the Arab Spring started, Tunisia, Egypt, you know, in Baku there were a couple of attempts to have some sort of protest action in
Yes.
Fountain Square in front of the library, this sort of thing. And I watched a few of them, and you know, you'd see kind of clumps of people who would come and kind of look at the scene and then realize there were hundreds of policemen and then turn and walk away. So, you know, and what, a couple hundred people were arrested each time. And then it seems to have kind of died down a bit. I'm just curious if you think there will be any lasting effect of what was kind of percolating last year in Baku, or what exactly would have to happen in order for something to actually kind of maybe change in Azerbaijan.
Thank you. This is very hard question, but I have very easy answer on this. Whether kind of Arab revolution happened in Baku or not, I can say that no one knows. No one knows. No one expects that this event happened in Tunisia. No one. No one expects that happen in Libya or, I don't know, Egypt or Syria. No political scientists, no advisors to president expect that. So they live, let's say, easy and happy in Tunisia and eat this oranges. When once started something, I don't know, very great, and we find next day another country, not old Tunisia, new country. The same can happen in Azerbaijan. It can be very different people, not Musavat party, not Issa Gambar or, I don't know, traditional this Democrats or revolutionary. Some different people, like it happened in Moscow now. But it will be. I feel I have strong feelings that end is near, end of authoritarianism. For that I have some presentation 3 or 4 days before in National Endowment. I give a file to Ingrid and Krista, so you can get this and read. I have strong feelings that end of them is near. That's it. And these Democrats, what they should do, they should keep the flame burning, just to show I'm here. Don't afraid. If one day they, how to say, catastrophe will happen, there is some theory of catastrophes, that small invisible changes in the end bring to something like in Tunisia. By their own example, these small groups of Democrats can show that we are here, we are not sold out, we are not cracked. That's all that we can do now when people are sleeping. But one day they will wake up. I believe very near.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is twofold. Oil revenues in Azerbaijan, where are they channeled into the government? And what's the level of support that the oil revenues provide for the education of the Azeri youth?
Oil revenue are huge in Azerbaijan. All of them are in hands of government. And government mostly use it for strengthening of its regime. Haven't seen any impact on education. No, I didn't see that there are some new universities or expensive professors. No. Just to build the monuments for his father, some vitrines in the main streets, buying weapons, That's it.
May
Unfortunately.
And I was told that there's some of that money goes into an account for future when oil revenues are down. And secondly, that some of that money was used to they've started building residences, apartments for the refugees. And thirdly, some money going to development of industries or businesses in the provinces away from
No,
Baghdad.
no, no, no.
That's what I was told. Yeah. I'm just checking.
No, no.
I'm not certifying.
No.
Okay.
No.
Next is Levon.
Yes, Levon Petrosyan, postdoc lecturer for Romanian Studies program. First, thank you for your presentation of social, religious, and political aspects of new independent Azerbaijan. So my question is, you presented a religious map of Azerbaijan, and you described all this new missionaries movement in Azerbaijan. I mean, classical Protestantism or neo-Protestantism as witnesses of Jehovah, etc. But you didn't mention Caucasian Albanian communities. And before Arabization and before even Turkification of Azerbaijan.
No, I mentioned.
And yes, but how big or how small is this community? Or other technical question, are there any trends in this community or in political administration in Azerbaijan to restore Catholicate or patriarchal see of Albanian Church?
Thank you for your question. Firstly, I say that I mentioned, when I say that religious changed in Azerbaijan, there was Zoroastrianism, there was Christianity, and it is about Albania. It is small. You know, it takes books to speak of all this. I have just 30 minutes. I'm sorry for that. And about this plan to restore Albanian church, yes, there is such ideas. In public, I heard about that. I don't know about concrete plans, but it discussed. Yes.
Thank you. Nora.
Hi, Hikmet. Did I hear you correctly when you said there was no army?
There was no army before, I mean, in Soviet Union.
But what about now?
Now, of course, armies exist.
Okay.
Army exists. There is mobilization plan, system. There is some officers, I don't know, soldiers, everything in our level, of course. It is not Russian army and it is not Turkish army, but before there was no army at all, and no army specialists.
What I was curious about is when Azerbaijan began its path towards independence, or was independent, what kind of plans existed to create an army, who were to be the trainers, and what shape it was to take, and what were its primary concerns? Can you comment on those?
Yes, I can. I'm not specialist. This is very important issue. But I can say that when it was full-scale war with Armenia, police troops fight, usually, and there was, let's say, paramilitary guys from Popular Front and so on, so on. Then when armies start to be created, there was two ways of this. When Elchibey was in power, he preferred to invite Turkish specialists, Turkish military specialists. Then Haydar Aliyev rejected this plan, and he invited the specialists from Russia, especially Azerbaijanis from Russian army. I believe the Armenian army was the same situation, but there was few. Until now, we miss some specialists and some specializations in army. Mainly, we restore former Soviet army now with this former Soviet army's philosophy that soldier should be mechanism, like Prussian army, like that.
Were the Mujahideens at all involved in the training?
Mujahideens, no. But they were involved in fighting. In training, no.
Thank you.
Others?
Their way for fighting of Mujahideen is like suicide bombers. How to train them? I didn't understand. It was, let's say, 92, 93, when, let's say, some Afghan guys fight. There was some, let's say, I don't know, maybe 100 of them came to Baku and tried to fight with us. It was some small experience.
Okay, thank you. Vahe Saagyan, I'm a PhD student here at the University of Michigan. I have actually two questions. My first question is about the population dynamics. Recently, I was studying the dynamics in Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan since independence. And interestingly, the numbers in Georgia and Armenia decreased since independence, but in Azerbaijan, it was constantly increasing. So the number of population. So you mentioned that there is a big number of people who work in Russia, and there is an immigration. But how can you explain this? That these were the data of the World Bank. So I studied only their data. So I'm not sure how accurate are they, but yeah, based on World Bank data. And my second question is about the elections. So how can you elaborate a little on elections, how parliamentary or presidential, whether, about election frauds, or how do people get elected into parliament?
Okay. Very brief about election. We don't have election. This is all theater, and before everybody knows who will be elected, then one day it's some kind of scenario, spectacle, drama. Then at 8 o'clock, all observers withdraw from ballot stations, and in the evening by television they declare that Gerard elected and Hikmet not. If Hikmet not agree, then we will beat him. This in brief. About this demographic situation, this is former Soviet style of statistic, which still exists. I don't know what's going on in Armenia and Georgia, but in Azerbaijan. These 2 million people, they are accounted here because they are still citizens. Some of them...
They're the ones who vote.
Yes. Yes, vote. There is some guys who accept Russian citizenship, but very few. So they are... let's say once a year they all came back to see their relatives and so on, spend money, make some weddings and so on. And there was some gap in growth of population. But when the economic situation was very bad, then growth goes like that. Then now, so we have this before. As to percentage of gross population, what can I say? In Muslim countries, it is everywhere the same situation, that family values are very strong and so on, so on. So
birth rate is higher.
Yes.
Too good.
Actually, this was not one of the topics in your speech, but I still want to ask. 1 year ago or so, I read an article in a newspaper, and it was about some kind of an unrest in the army, in the Azerbaijani army, and some junior Academy of War students complained that although 90% of the Azerbaijani population is Azerbaijani, all the top officers of the army are Tatar or Lezgin. There was this kind of a letter issued by the junior academic students.
Yes.
Can you comment on that? I mean, is there kind of an unrest or unrest in the army, in the Azeri army?
I remember this case, but that was not serious case and has no development. Yes, I remember that was. You know, this is common situation, that if you hate somebody, you say, oh, this is not English, you know. He's from Norway. That was told when Cromwell fight with King. They say that they are not Englishmen. They are Normans. We don't know from where they come, and come from where they come. And the Russian Tsar Nikolaus II, they say he's not Russian, and his wife is, I don't know, Jew maybe. So it has always happened such things, but in this case it was no, there was no some continuation of that serious something. They say that in the top, that the Hyder Aliyev is Kurd, he is not Azerbaijani. Then if somebody speak about me that I'm Jew, I don't know, Armenian, so it's always happened, something like that. I'm sorry.
If there are no other questions, I have one, and then we'll close.
And this question is with regard to the relationship between authoritarianism and the threat of war. That is, certainly in Armenia and possibly in Azerbaijan, the reluctance to have a popular uprising that would topple the governments, that desire may be controlled by the constant talk of war and the absence of peace, at least. And that is, authoritarian governments use the absence of peace in order to tell people, if you move, the enemy may attack again.
Exactly, yes.
So
yes.
there seems to be a relationship. Would you agree with that?
Completely agree. They always use this moment that please shut up, please stop, we have war, we have a problem, Karabakh problem, and so on, so on. They completely always use that, as other authoritarian regimes do that. Agree, completely.
Okay, one final question.
Gira's question leads me to think, around Sunni, I teach in the history department, that you could go the other way. That is, part of the problem with the Karabakh problem is that if either of those governments moves in the direction of compromise, there might be popular explosions against that, popular resistance to that.
Yes.
And in other words, democracy also produces problems, because, you know, once you start people up in a nationalist or chauvinistic direction, as we did say with the Iraq War, then it's hard to turn them around and bring them around to oppose it. Is that?
I agree with you. Unfortunately, war is stupid and schizophrenistic. And also around the war goes à la guerre comme à la guerre, with all these consequences.
Okay, thank you, Hikmet, very much.
Thank you.